Hello there. If there's one thing that we have all experienced when starting new runs, it's the golden question. Where should I settle down to live out my last days in the apocalypse? Should I base up in the same location I've done my last 20 runs in? No. No longer shall we hole up in the fire station for the 100th time. Today we are going through a few base locations that I've come across in my journey around Knox County that I feel are great options if you are looking for something different. These are just some places that I've either personally used or thought would make some good ideas for future runs. Knox County is a big place and I may have missed some juicy ones along the way, so if I did, feel free to pop them in the comments so other survivors can get some use out of them. None of these are necessarily better than the other, it's just my opinion, and hopefully this will help your indecisiveness or give you a bit of inspiration for your next playthrough. To make things easier to digest, I will separate these based on location so we don't get confused. And if you stick around towards the end, I will tell you about a few more unique ones that I know you will love. Oh, and before I forget, we now have a Discord server. So if you want to join the community, I will leave a link in the description for you. Anyway, let us begin. Our first stop is Riverside, known to be one of the easier towns to spawn in due to its relatively low zombie population, and it has some really good locations for bases. Our first one is, you guessed it, the gated community towards the edge of town, more specifically, here. It's got 3 large houses that you could use as living spaces or storage, and a decent sized area for farming some crops. Aside from that, it's close to areas that you would want to loot, like the Gigamart, and relatively close to the river for water or fishing. It's surrounded by large metal fences with 2 entry points, which you can block off with cars or fences, making it a damn near impenetrable fortress once you've locked it down. The forest is also right outside, so gathering planks or general foraging will be a breeze, and there won't be too many neighbors bothering you due to its location at the edge of town. Alrighty, the next one is a bit out of town, but it's quite secluded once you've managed to clear it out, and that is the Riverside storage units. Aside from the fact that it is, well, a storage unit, which means you have a good chance of spawning a generator or two, it's surrounded by high metal fences and is very easy to block off, giving you full access to the interior. Just a short walk away, you have a gas station, a diner for some potential early food supplies, an auto repair shop, and even a nearby factory for some more hard to find supplies. The town itself isn't that far away as well, so you won't have to spend a whole day traveling to get more supplies. And while we are on the secluded country life vein, the last location here is the infamous Riverside Country Club. Once you've managed to clear this out, you will quite literally be living in the lap of luxury. It's a spacious base, which will require a little bit of fortifying, but being so far out of town, it's actually a relatively safe location with very few wanderers coming your way. Besides, you have easy access to a forest nearby for building supplies, and you can even fish from the safety of the pool. What's not to love? Our next location is Rosewood. Now, I'm not even going to bother mentioning the fire station as I know you all love that one. It was my favorite too for a very long time. Now, aside from the infamous fire station, we have a couple of options here that are all located really close to the main town. First off, we have the gated community towards the top of town, similar to the gated community in Riverside, minus the large size. It's surrounded by high fences with only a few easily fortified points of entry. If you wall off these 2 points, you will have a bunch of houses for you to build your dream compound in. It's super close to the shopping lane for supplies, and the gas station is not too far away for refueling. However, I think this one will be better suited to multiplayer as the area is a bit large for one person. This next one has been mentioned a lot before, but it's just too good to pass up for those of you who like to build their own bases from scratch. The construction site just south of the fire station provides massive amounts of space for you to go crazy in, topped off with some initial building supplies and only 1 point of entry, making this a safe canvas for you to build however you want to. Stepping up to one of the harder spawns in PZ, Muldraugh provides a handful of interesting locations to set up shop. One of my personal favorites is the McCoy Logging Core, located up north from the main town. This one will require a bit of legwork to clear out, but once done, you will have access to plenty of tools, supplies, and general loot to get a good base up and running. Being located away from the main town means you will have less stragglers to deal with than if you were to base up in the main part of Muldraugh. There's also the large warehouse, or rather the mass Genfac company building, located at the top of Muldraugh. Now, I know what you're thinking. Settling in here would mean a lot of wandering neighbors knocking on your doors. Well, you're not wrong. But if you clear out the immediate area, you will have a wealth of loot and a multi-story building to turn into your own little castle. You can even grow crops on the roof and have ample space to set up water collectors quite safely there. That brings us to the notorious WestPoint, the most difficult spawn due to its high zombie population, which can humble you if you aren't prepared. And because I like making life difficult for myself, it is my favorite place to spawn because of how close it is to Louisville. If you haven't already sensed a common theme here, our first location is the WestPoint storage lots. I have a thing for storage units, it seems, but only because they're great to defend, I promise. This one only has 2 points of entry, but will require a little bit of elbow grease to clear out the hordes to make it safe enough to move in. If you manage to do so, you will have those glorious high metal fences around you that you can poke Zeds through with a stick to make neighbor management easier. Our next location is, you guessed it, it's Twiggy's. Twiggy's is an iconic building in my opinion and has always been a great base location for when you play with friends. Aside from being right across from the gun store for easy access to firearms, it's also on the outskirts of town, meaning the zombie population will be less concentrated. The Gigamart is right across the road for easy food supplies too. Besides, you get a snazzy sign outside. Now, this next location is for those of you who enjoy base building. On the riverbank, there are 2 docks which you can use to create a water platform, which you can then wall off. Get this right, and you can build a water house that the zombies cannot get to, leaving you with free access to water and fishing to sustain you from the comfort of your porch. Later on, when you gather enough ammo and want to level your aiming, you can also practice shooting at them without much consequence. The downside of this kind of base, however, is that it will take some time to set up, due to the sheer amount of materials needed, so rather find another location to stay in while you construct this little project. Alrighty, on to the final location in WestPoint. Just to the top of town, there is a small isolated house that, while not much to look at, is quite safe in WestPoint terms. You have easy access to the river for water and some trees around you for protection / building materials. I've stayed here once and nothing eventful ever really happened after I cleared out the immediate area, so yeah, I'd say it's worth a look. So I promised you that I would include some honorable mentions for you if you wanted further inspiration. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. These options are a few that I stumbled across that I feel would make great locations, and also aren't necessarily bound to the starting locations. The first one has to be the Knob Creek Hunting Lodge in Valley Station, just outside of Louisville. The area isn't too overrun and it has so much space inside to create your home how you want to. Plus, you can even find some firearms and ammo inside, so that's a good thing. It's close enough to Louisville to do a larger loot run and the Valley Station Mall, which, granted, is a nightmare to clear out, but is manageable with time. Moving further into Louisville, and by further, I mean in the literal heart of the city, is an apartment complex. But we only care about one thing here, the penthouse suite, baby. Aside from only having one entrance to protect, you have a spacious living area and are surrounded by terraces on both sides of the apartment, which can be used to plant crops and have a bird's eye view of your surroundings. Being central, you are able to comfortably loot in a wide radius. Over time, this apartment could essentially be turned into a semi-self-sustained base. Last but not least is a small little house in Valley Station. It may not look like much, but having a lake right outside means you will have access to water and fishing to sustain yourself, as well as a tool shed for some potential tool spawns. It's a bit isolated from other key looting areas, but hey, you do you. That's it for a few base ideas. If you've come across a few in your travels that I might have missed, pop them in the comments for other survivors to expand their horizons. I'll also add in the coordinates for all the locations so you can find them on the Project Zomboid map. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, I encourage you to drop a like and subscribe. Good luck out there, survivor, and I will see you in the next one.